The stallion is 2.5 years old, and now he is a couple of days here with us. Yeah, what is incredible is the way how they're behaving, their innocence, their softness, their curiosity. They never have been experiencing any kind of negative events with humans. So I did meet this guy here 3-4 times meanwhile.
What kind of part is it on which personality is developed in such a manner that even extremely nervous or rearing aggressive and biting horses in minutes calms down, nearly without any visible action? What kind of part is it on which one can move with horses, even in free nature, as if oneself is actually being a member of this species? And what kind of man is it who brought his special visions about all of this into the world, is influencing since decades the horse scene and wrote many books about it? Klaus is, for many years, in countless demonstrations proving anew that authenticity and consciousness obviously may create results which are appearing nearly magic. And he is even doing more. He is transmitting all his experiences one-to-one towards the human world. All this I wanted to summarize in this film, describing and referring to the background of Klaus's philosophy and life reality. I am actually here in Klaus's wild garden, very close to so-called ancient grave mounds. They are about 5,000 years old. In graves like these, the Celts buried their leaders and their great druids. There are even 7 of these graves gathered on this beautiful and exceptional property. This place belongs to the important cultural heritage of Europe. Is it a coincidence that a man like Klaus lives in such a place? Here already a first short example of a type of an instant healing, which also made Klaus well known around the world. Especially about these nearly magical events, I had stored so many questions. So of course, I talked intensively with Klaus about the background.
But it might also mean, if you're not certain in your decision, because you didn't find the path, don't act. Be brave enough not to act. even we would have a mare in heat. Now we go closer, again a clear sign, making a curve away from the horse. I'm stopping, he's stopping in front of the horse. How I'm talking, how I'm touching to him. Look how nice he is. So now put him off. He will not run to the other horse.
I do know Klaus since many years. Nevertheless, when I was starting with the planning of this film, it turned out that the amount and the true depth of so many different themes, also all the various themes of life, were partly still simply covered for me behind a misty veil. Therefore, out of a projected smaller presentation, it finally became a documentary of more than 1 hour. And I only can hope that I was able to reflect the fullness I could find here. Is of course one about horses. It is about the first encounter between human and horse, and about a riding without reins, yes, only with the aids of body and spirit. But above all, it is about the integrity of expression and experience, of perceiving and revealing, of energy and personal presence. It is exactly about that kind of way that puts all this also in an authentic relation to the real and the symbolic horse. But in fact, this journey was starting exactly over there, by the hills, together with Klaus and 2 horses, 2 young stallions, which were 5 days ago still completely untouched, living in a big herd, not far away from here, in the north of Denmark.
The importance also is that they are selected in a very special way, so that they are fulfilling the qualities of a riding horse finally, which means that they are in a perfect shape, squared, upright, like this one here, for example.
The squared horse was a knight's riding horse. Kings and political rulers have always, through our history, liked to be portrayed on the back of a horse. The horse was unusually wonderfully posed and the reins were handled loosely. The symbolical meaning behind this was always the same. Look here, I'm just through my inner strength and through my ripened personality able to lead and dominate this strong being. The horse trusts my inner superior state, so also you folks simply may trust me. I will also lead you for your own good fortune. The last was unfortunately too often not the case, as history did prove. But Klaus went to the bottom of this obviously important symbolical reality in his work and his teaching. His work as advisor and mentor is based on this, in particular also for people who by themselves want to convince and be effective through inner qualities. He is in fact healing and leading horses through inner strength. Collected Riding at Loose Reins was also the subtitle of Klaus's first bestseller, Dancing with Horses. Collected riding at loose reins, in our time, a hardly imaginable thought. It is practically everywhere shown that a sort of collection and elevation can only be achieved by keeping the horse with force and pain between pulled reins and spurs. And yet, Klaus has been recreating his always loose rein signal weight riding system, while maintaining the true collection and elevated posture of the horse, in an absolute pain-free and softest manner, with the always active and cooperative horse. Klaus is leaving the horse, also during the ride, in his proper world of balance and freedom, and at the same time in his shape of collection.
In the same way as I'm delivering and releasing the horse from the ground, I can do it in riding, and suddenly I have exactly with a loose rein this picture of the collected horse moving mainly with the hind legs, being free in front, like from the ground, where I'm using body signals to transmit the body signals from the riding as if I would walk with the horse. So riding then is nothing less and nothing more than walking. The idea, of course, is here to guarantee that this kind of balance, which you find originally inside of horses, wild horses like this, to keep this kind of balance, this kind of softness, this kind of innocence inside of the horse throughout their career to become a riding horse.
One important requirement is exactly that the horse is no longer steered by means of pulled reins, sharp bits and force, but also outside the riding arena only by soft and precise body signals, and above all by the inner determination of the human being. In which way Klaus is mastering this art becomes clear through an extraordinary film document. Riding a horse without saddle and reins in plain nature and then getting into a conflict with it? The following footage tells very much about Klaus's way of riding and being with horses.
A remarkable case has been captured with a camera here. Klaus is sitting on his horse Janosch without a bridle or reins, and the horse is shying away from a narrow crossing. Viewed physically, the rider is helplessly dependent on his horse. Nonetheless, even in this critical situation, Klaus remains the leader, the guide. How is this possible? First, we can see that no emotion is openly expressed. The horse would immediately recognize the inner weakness and the external helplessness of the man, and it would go its own way. It would bolt. Klaus does not avoid the cause for fear, at least as long as it isn't too extreme. An inner determination conveyed to the horse in the form of clear instructions, communicated by just a few body signals, keeps the horse in the apparently dangerous area. Only the pressed hips and the body bent forward keep Janosch where he is, or allow him to draw back. After the horse and rider have relaxed, Klaus quietly waits in front of the crossing without giving any further signals. He waits until Janosch has found courage and confidence in himself, so that he can take the first step into the apparent danger on his own. Without a fight, the man has won. He has won the deepening trust of the horse.
The demands which riding in reality makes upon a human being are in general completely underestimated. To truly ride a horse without pain and stress, the rider's body must be at the same time flexible, agile and relaxed to an extremely high degree. You will notice the absolute relaxation in which Klaus guides this little horse only by means of his body language. All this shows clearly that Klaus's being and success with horses is only thinkable in front of what he calls general fundamental life principles. All these parameters are no empty words for Klaus. They are arising just from lived life and through his genuine experiences by reviving the forgotten advices and symbols of our forefathers. Klaus always emphasizes that no one should try to imitate this, riding without reins. If you are not mastering this down to the smallest detail, then it can be very dangerous.
He's a marvelous horse. Incredible from his posture, the way how he is built. He has a perfect size. Already the way how he is standing, you can see it. He is able to collect, to put his weight on the hind legs.
The horse is connecting and expressing its potential of trust and self-esteem above all in and through its hindquarters, their strength and preparedness. Klaus's physical and psychological support of the horses takes this into account on a very high degree. Just look at the stallion's play and at the compactness of this young stallion, and the words of Klaus become distinct and clear.
So this is a wonderful exemplar of a, on one side, wild and untouched horse, but on the other side, a perfect horse in regarding of the necessities which we're looking for, using the hind legs as a perfect supporter of the balance.
This brings me organically to those classic scenes, of which I have dreamt already long before I came to know Klaus personally. The dance with his stallion Junke. What a ballet, what a harmony in the united movements, and what a marvelous majestic posture of the free horse. That is what Klaus understands as requirement for a horse to finally be healthily and joyfully ridden. Any horse, by the way, also exactly those which are physically less talented, which is clearly to see in the directly following example with Klaus's horse János. Later we will deal with the question how all this is possible, but first please enjoy, together with me, these pictures of harmony.
Once again, slow-motion studies of work with horses demonstrate this inner concentration expresses itself in movement through an exactly balanced straight posture. The movements are parallel. Horse and rider dance with each other. Such exact body signals have an immediate effect on the posture of the horse, make it expressive, concentrated, and put it in a collected state. In this duet, the horse imitates the rider, pushes its hind quarters far under its body, simply because of the body language of the rider. Here, a clear tilting of the pelvis. Even difficult exercises which encourage the horse's balance and concentration, such as the so-called shoulder in, can be triggered by tiny signals. Without any outward influence, the horse learns to trust and feel secure. Beautifully poised, the horse floats freely and unhindered in a collected state. A person has to put him or herself in a state of clarity and decisiveness, internally and externally, and has to convey this to the horse so that it can ultimately develop freely and independently. A horse prepared this way, when turned inward to go in a complete circle, will even gallop in an even tighter spiral. The horse is performing one of the most difficult exercises with playful ease.
How does all this look today? The play of the master in free unfenced nature. Here we see Klaus with Lipizzaner stallion Ferdinand in a wild unfenced terrain, after only some months of togetherness. More than 2 million times these scenes have been viewed on the web, the perfect collection and the free play on the wide plain. Launching at liberty is one of the most important essentials of Klaus's work. With this, he is combining main characteristics to a unique whole of being with horses. The entire freedom of the horse in all movements, by leading, groundwork and riding, connected with the collection and the elevated posture of the free horse.
It's play, it's life. And this you can see outside with all this, the horses. They're coming by themselves as children would come to the parents, to the teacher. I have a question. There's something. Why the sky is blue? Why the clouds are white? Where am I coming from? And that's going on with the horses. The horse is coming and asking the question. We are just supporting their inner motivation and their inner deliverance to move them without anything. So you go there, boom, and the horse is slashing forward, moving. And with this power, then you will immediately dedicate the energy towards the hind legs and bring the horse to the collection in liberty.
Klaus works the free horse consequently from back to front, supporting the hind legs to step strongly underneath the body, carrying the horse's weight. Like this, self-carriage and proud expression become permanent features of the horse's own nature. The horse changes mentally and physically into a generally collected, energetic, proud and powerful being. The person now becomes a real mentor, an important supporter, even more than just a friend. And the horse becomes a real partner for that human who discovers his own authenticity with his help. Of course, Klaus does not automatically expect his pupils to achieve this level of perfection. But the authentic path towards the horses and towards an inner understanding of one's own world is providing that light which illuminates it all and which will never be renounced by Klaus. Klaus picks up his pupils where they are, and he brings them as far as they want and can. But the direction is determined by the reality of the horse, and of course, by nature itself.
If you see both of us, it's already intuitively matching perfectly from the size. We are standing exactly on the same height. In general, in the history of riding, we have the tendency to breed the horse, so to speak, longer on one side and taller on the other side. But the original, authentic idea of riding a horse would be in a, let's say, in a measurement, as you can see it here, between me and this beautiful horse. It's also interesting if you're observing these guys, the small one and the big one, both are stallion of 2.5 years, so very young, how they are behaving together. You will never see any kind of fights or any kind of aggression between each other. So they are perfectly, inside of the wild horse, perfectly socialized. And this you can see in all kinds of behavior of the horses. Of course, it's very important now when we are together with these guys that this kind of inner balance of their spirit, that this stays with us.
Being happy and strong is not a possibility for the human beings. It is their duty. These words from Klaus lead us to the question: how does the path towards the horses and towards this kind of being with them look like? Klaus says that his existence in his youth as free habitant of the woods, as body-conscious person and as artist laid a very strong foundation for his togetherness with horses. It is all about authentic perception and expression. You should be able to express yourself, to communicate transparently and honest. You should play, dance and grow, and at the same time understand the responsibility for your actions. Devotion to true nature in oneself allows inner silence, and then genuine inspiration can be experienced. Klaus tries to transmit towards his pupils that the different pillars in life all together carry the human existence. All pillars must be of the same strength. For Klaus, as teacher and advisor, the main focus is directed towards this human and individual inner world. But real inner wealth and potential is only thinkable where modesty towards nature and destiny and limitation of pure selfish will is creating the basic conditions for it.
Together with your partner and the music, then it's not just adding the partner, adding the flow of music. That's something else. That's something else. Something much bigger. This is what we're seeking. All things we're doing in life, this speciality, this where it's bigger than only the different parts. Then it's really life.
Überall könnte es sein, überall könnte es sein, überall könnte es sein. Fest sind die Wurzeln tief in der Zeit, überall könnte es sein. Noch ist nicht einer von ihnen befreit, doch überall könnte es sein. Ja, überall könnte es sein. Überall könnte es sein. Überall könnte es sein. Überall könnte es sein. Fest sind die Wurzeln tief in der Zeit. Doch überall könnte es sein. Doch noch ist nicht einer von ihnen befreit. Doch überall könnte es sein. 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 Überall könnte es sein.
A ball of air is lying in your right hand. You can sense it even. Like this, check it. This is now the strength of your head. This is weaker, this is the strength. If he's like this, is different. And with this, he is going towards life. This here means I'm there. I'm about to take the job. The neck should go practically straight up here. Here should be no muscles and nothing should be tense, so to speak, very relaxed. And these are the carrying muscles of the horse. The wither should not be visible because it's covered by muscles. Then here you have exactly the saddle and a very strong hind leg. The saddle then is, as you can see if we put it down, carried by the hind leg of the horse. Taking 60, 70, 80 kilos on the back of an animal which is not born to carry a saddle. But if you're bumping, it's times 5. And the horse is built like a bridge, as you can see. Yeah, this is like a bridge. Legs and legs, and this is the bridge, and this is the weakest part. So I have to strengthen the back of the horse so that the horse does not really have pain. You always see the same thing. The horse has the slightly bending towards inside. You see the head is inside. The ear of the head is entirely to the guy. We have the same attitudes with the head, always the same attitudes, in the nicest way, putting down the pelvis without changing anything here. So I'm not doing something here or any movement. So I'm going parallel, and then now on the spot turning, on the spot, right, that looks good, bit forward so that you stay in the, you're a little bit too much forward, like this. If you go too much forward, the horse will go backwards. Yes, this is better. Just check it. That's good, and that you're just touching the horse. Very soft here also. Very soft. Just
get a feeling where the horse is. A long leg. Breath is falling deep in your body. Long legs. Keep off the feet towards the inside. Yeah, exactly. So he's blowing.
What I do because it appears to me to be the easier way. To convey the approach I am striving for, as best I can, to whoever is willing to listen, is plain and simple, although it has already demanded a lot from me. A real relationship between man and horse is for Klaus Ferdinand Hempfling something which expresses itself physically, but is also intellectual and spiritual to the utmost, because unseen truths become daily experienced realities through a spiritualized relationship with horses. For man and horse can learn from each other, grow, become one with each other. Far away from the usual riding centres, Klaus founded his own school. It begins with and revolves around body language, behind which a whole internal and external world is hidden. But to investigate and comprehend the hidden, which is all too well camouflaged by the self-evident, it is necessary to break new ground. Klaus Ferdinand Hempfling had to break new ground. In order to meet these great demands, Klaus developed his own system of body movement. It is important for him that the human body at all times, consciously or unconsciously, moves as a whole. Everything must be soft and elastic, and the smallest movement must be part of this whole. This is the only way for the rider to convincingly signal emotions, feelings, and internal life to the horse. Out of the flowing movement and the sense of the whole, the body almost automatically becomes a clear, upright and energetic presence, which serves unquestionably as a model for the horse.
Klaus developed his body awareness system during more than 30 years. He started with it long before he met horses. But in the world of the horses, he could continuously modify, improve and prove it. Klaus says, to experience your own body completely, to keep it strong, supple and agile, you must do the right things, not too less, but also not too much. the movements should be natural for the human being, and they should always make sense for the body. An exercise which does not immediately has a positive effect, bring enthusiasm and joy, and which the body does not understand, is unfortunately very often having opposite effects. Klaus's exercises are at the same time stimulating strength, balance, endurance, groundedness, calmness, joyfulness and inner composure. And they are so strong and effective that even the horses are giving reference. Klaus always begins very slowly with his pupils. Everything must be developed very carefully. It is important that the body performs in complete relaxation and calmness. Only then the enormous impact is shown.
Very nice, yes, very good. And combine it with your warm bow. 7 parts down, 3 parts high, very nice. A bit slower. Coordination. Round movements is creating so much energy. This person is demonstrating in all kinds of aspects that he is relaxed. So when we're going to deal with horses like this, then we do not deal with whatever kind of minus experiences, with bad experience, so to speak. We don't have to repair something. There's nothing to repair because they have never been touched by a human before. So we really can start with an absolutely balanced form of understanding life, understanding themselves. So with these guys, for example, here, I never experienced any kind of aggression or any kind of friction, which you might see frequently, so to speak, in normal domesticated togetherness with horses.
The degree of bonding and connecting between Klaus and all these meanwhile hundreds of horses, sometimes already within minutes, is one of the biggest surprises people are witnessing during his demonstrations. He has been demonstrating under the eyes of thousands of spectators that however aggressive a horse might appear, however stubborn or abandoned, the unique transformation into a calm, friendly, innocent fellow has always been achieved without the slightest signs of anything else than calmness, softness and peace. Klaus is frequently asked why he mostly works with stallions. Well, one thing is that stallion owners are even more often than other riders confronted with insurmountable problems. But of course, Klaus also works with mares and geldings. But he also always points out that the keeping as well as the way of approaching stallions, mares or gelding differs, although the basic principles remain the same. After everything that I could show up to here, the time has now come to look more closely behind the secret of this nearly invisible energy, which Klaus demonstrates again and again with seemingly the greatest of ease. What is in reality happening there?
In the moment when we are going to meet our life purpose, there we are going to meet destiny. But he's always thinking now what he can do, what's possible. One thing what we can see if we talk about the purpose of humans in this concern is that obviously you are much more efficient in doing nothing, you know? And he's doing it in a very calm way. So in doing nothing, obviously, you are able to do much more in life. You know? And deciding finally, because it's your horse. This ball here is, let's say, a very hasting ball. Yeah? This ball does not know where to go. Shall I buy this house? Shall I put my children to this school? So the first thing is that with the development of our personal understanding, we will detect first of all the place of action. He will always come back, always. So this means that I have to be sensitive enough that I'm just not squaring around and here and feeling lost like a ball on the ocean, which is blown from the wind. No? And this kind of bonding, which is there, is, as I said, maximum. Of course, he is carrying still things from his past. This is what we're working on. But the bonding is the maximum. So the first action we have to take is that we are detecting something which is there. The horse is reflecting it to 100%. So then I can act, then we can do something. Being in front of the horse means, in this moment, that I'm just doing what has to be done. There's nothing more important for the horse in his life than me, even more important than himself. So we have first to detect, where's my path? The bonding of the horse is now the number one in the horse's life. But not just hasting, not trial and error. But it might also mean, if you're not certain in your decision, because you didn't find the path, don't act. He's so open. If I would do one wrong thing, pain, whatever, he would close and rarely would open up again. Be brave enough not to act. And this means that real life in concern to this year has a lot to do with being withdrawn. Being calm, meditating. Instead of hasting and have a small effect. And you're moving where you shouldn't move. You're acting where you shouldn't act. Yeah. So we have to stop now. And in this concern and togetherness, you're creating chaos. Because the horse still needs some time to really enjoy the closeness instead of order. So this is where the horse is processing at the moment so much this new idea of real closeness that we have to make a break now. So therefore we have to be very, very careful. Where's my path? This is the first thing. And then we check destiny. And then we find the task. At the moment I'm just doing a job here with my wheel. I'm just cleaning this here and give him the chance to overcome. Whoa, look, I'm doing something with the whip. That's interesting. But he's still coming. So encouraging the horse to become stronger and stronger and stronger. And always renewing this bonding. And it's no time in the horse's life has been changing. It's paradise. And I will not be more happy if I would do whatever kind of piaffe passage with this horse, gallop changing. I would not be more happy. So there's nothing to achieve for me. Just being.
For our documentary, we have been selecting still a special case where we would like to talk about today, because there are some very special aspects in it which we would like to show and which we would like to talk about with you. So in the beginning of this footage, we see how the owner is with the horse and how they are living in different worlds, and the horse is shaking with the head, and you don't see that there is a lot of connection. And then there is this moment where you're entering the area, and there's an immediately change in the horse without that you're doing anything obvious yet. How is this possible?
He has this tendency to be very much on his own and go against things. And since he never really did find so far his master, yeah, he has been creating these kind of attitudes.
So first of all, what's always very important is that there's not the slightest kind of fight. The slightest idea from the human being, for example, insecure, being cramped, not being entirely in his body, will immediately crack any kind of bonding. What we have to achieve when we are with the horse is that practically in the first encounter, in the first moment, the horse will scan this person as superior. Any kind of being will detect another being as inferior if he is sensing any kind of violence, and if he is sensing a sort of unsolved problems of the past. Out of the fact that there might be a person which is hiding something, the horse will detect genetically the right to lead this person. This person, together with the horse, will with necessity use a method, will use an outer instrument to bring down the horse. Because only if the horse, so to speak, is in its personality brought down, then with, let's say, with this hindrance form of action, the person then has the chance to somehow dominate this entirely strong and, from its personality, massive animal and massive being. My main job is to be a personal advisor, a life coach, management consultant. The first thing I try to explain is that we have to do everything to get rid of these backups.
Or less things. The horse will not really then have a problem to jump to the left and bring Berit in danger.
Coming back to the case, what you're referring to, first of all, Berit has been already doing a good job with the horse. But so she did come to a point where she couldn't succeed anymore. The horse was living in a different world, so we can see it very clear. Berit is walking here, the horse is walking there. And this is the common situation. The horse was very, very nervous. He was a performing racing horse. And then he was always shaking his head, as one reaction. I have to break it immediately. I have to immediately show something else, because if not, the horse would just only put me into the box of, okay, this is what I know. What you can see with this horse, and you're right, I agree, is very clearly the moment when the horse is realizing the energy. Because I have only the chance to work with energy, and since this horse was a very sensitive, very fine horse, boom, you really can, in this case, see how this 450 kilos, 500 kilo, wow, is slashing, even if there's a distance between us, and you have no idea why this horse is going back like this, reacting on this kind of wave. The chance I had and have always, of course, is connecting myself with the ground, being completely grounded, absolutely relaxed, and out of this relaxation to have this outer option physically and from the energy to move in a very clear way, and in a moment give this wave of energy towards the horse. So when I'm doing things like this with the horse, in front of the horse, it's very important that I am assuming the next movement, that I am interpreting out of what the horse is doing now, the next step, that I'm ahead of the actions of the horse. Because you have to realize that there's a distance of 12 meters. And you are very small, and the horse, a racing horse, a competing, successful racing horse, is so quick with you. This room, for example, has a distance of 8 meters, but it would be no problem for a human to run quickly beside. This would be the riding arena, the riding area. Then we always have something like a homeland. The homeland of the horse is where you are. So there the horse did get already some food, some hay, some water. So this is a place the horse does know very well. I make very clear for the horse that now this is my home area. And with all these signals I'm going to give to the horse will understand that I will never misuse these power aspects. I have to make the horse understand in the first seconds that I'm serving him. Leading is serving. This lunging in reality has nothing to do with the normal lunging you can see in riding arena. We're never standing, we're always walking, and with a precision towards the horse, we are directing the horse into a bigger collection or give them the idea to release in the gallop, etc., etc., etc. So what we're doing then is that I'm keeping the horse from his homeland. He's a very strong guy and he has no problem physically to pass me on this area. It would be also a very small thing for the horse, and a horse like this would do it, to just kick me over and come to the homeland. So this means the only thing I have there is then my uprightness, my decisiveness, my groundedness, until he is understanding genetically out of his core understanding of being a horse, all right, this person is communicating with me in a way that I can understand it, so that I do have the chance to submit under the strength of this person. What's going on there in the moment of this energy transmission, when the horse is really showing this reaction? And maybe even here with this billiard, you have the chance to show it. If this is us, so to speak, and I'm trying to move the ball, I need a lot of movement to have whatever, a small performance. And with a small kick, which you're doing here, coming from the real energy reservoir, so to speak, you are performing and nothing is going on.
There's nothing to see. The energy in the background, which is
working. Without seeing, acting at all. You see this? So, and this is of course something which is not exhausting you in the same way, because normally in our life we did lose, so to speak, the trust of this. We did lose the experience of this background. We are disconnected, so to speak, from many things which are in reality causing nature, authenticity, strength, etc. And therefore we do have this sensation that we have to do everything. We are walking, we are turning around, and the result is there, but look how small the result is and how much we are doing in compare to an apparent result. Yes, you're using a very small energy to have the ball reacting. So that's going on, so to speak, there in the horse work, and this is causing, among many other things, of course, if you go into the details, but this is causing in a way this immediate reaction of the horse.
So after the horse is reacting in this impressed way and submitting, then I think to accept you as the leader and to follow, Then there is this moment where the horse is really like hypnotized, following you. Yeah, why this is then in this extreme way happening?
It's such an overwhelming moment in these seconds to understand I'm not alone. And this moment, this relief, this kind of imploding into this kind of reality, then is causing this coma sort of being hypnotized and following the person blind and only has one idea: to stay close with this person, never lose this later again. And then we have the first parallelism. So whatever you're doing, wherever you are, the horse will follow you. By the way, in a certain distance, he will never allow himself now to overcome you. As you can see in the beginning with Berit, the horse was always running here, which is then symbolizing to this person here, I am superior. And if I want, I can go. In compare then, if the horse is following me, without any training, and that's important, without any dressage, the horse is doing exactly this, boom, boom, 1, 2, 3, stopping.
Yes.
You can't achieve this with dressage. If you would like to do this with dressage, you would have to stop the horse with friction, with pain. And the horse would always try to overcome, because genetically he will always test you again. I need this entire trust. Look, when he's taking now the whip, how he is taking the whip now. And this is the first reaction then if I'm working with the horses, the head is going down suddenly. They are simply relaxing. Yeah? If you're leading them suddenly, they're coming to a relaxed situation to put the head down and say, wow, I can rest. And so in minutes, we are climbing up step by step, in minutes. So he is showing us that we might come to the next spot. Very decisive, very careful. What I'm doing now is not because I want to touch him with the whip. This is already done. What I'm showing him now is that the whip now, which is no instrument of pain anymore, has also other function. It's a function of petting, but it's also a function of giving signals. So this is where we are now, after we have been erasing all the fear of the whip from him. And then we would see how the horse is reacting on these next steps.
These pictures are meant to demonstrate that the aim of leading horses without physical force, through inner strength, through spiritual and physical presence, can really and truly be achieved. Klaus is working here with his stallion Junker in what he calls stallion training. Junker is, according to Klaus, one of the most untamable stallions with the strongest stallion instincts he knows. With only a rope hanging loosely from its neck, the stallion is led very close to a mare in heat. I don't want to take away the slightest bit of the horse's wildness, not one spark of his power and personality, Klaus says. Just the opposite, I want to preserve and encourage it in such a way as to gain a certain control for the horse's own good, so that his freedom is as unrestricted as possible. The excited stallion learns to step back again and again without any physical influence by the man. The enormous power Klaus has over this horse can only be fully appreciated by riders who have experience with stallions which are high-ranking in the herd. The stallion has given me the control over him. I could never take it. He has given it to me because he has learned that I only use it in his own interests. The stallion training finishes today in the riding area. The pair is approaching the mare in heat with nothing but a simple halter. If the horse doesn't react to my thigh and weight shift signals, Klaus says, or to the clear signals of my body language, I would be lost, even with the most severe bit. With the bridle hanging loosely, the stallion is standing near the mare. He calmly lets himself be turned away and ridden.
So it looks very much like also the horse, if it once experiences this, is also seeking this bonding. And is this also what we then see in the end of the clip? We see the horse is surely frightened, I think, of something happening and is leaving
exactly.
you. And then, you see this inner dialogue in the horse of
Right.
being frightened on one hand and wanting to come.
It's time to put off the halter. They are realizing that they are then really free. Nothing is there what is keeping him at the spot.
I think somebody has been flapping with a jacket or something, and the horse was scared.
Very curious, soft in a way.
Yeah, this was really a very interesting situation. Yeah, I was standing in here, so to speak, and the horse was running to the corner or to this side here, with the rope around the neck, and then asking himself how to overcome it because the rope was in front.
So this is the typical reaction of the horse now. He is in a sort of irritation, but he is now working with it. He wants to come to me, but as you can see, he's not nervous, he's not running away. And the tendency then, especially in situations where something is different, is to come to the boss. This is what he tries to do now. He's thinking, look how much he's thinking, how he can overcome on his own this hindrance now. Yeah, he's very busy at the moment.
And then this visible, expressed longing was very clear that he finally, with fear, being scared, has been finding the path back to this person where he wanted to be.
The horse is trying to find a solution out of this. That's the solution.
So this trust and the growth of the horse and the necessity to be connected is even overcoming these situations. It was so great. If something happens in your life with a horse, you are meeting a red ball or a helicopter, the reaction is exactly the opposite of what you know, because normally then they're fleeing away from everything. This horse from now on will come close in any kind of danger. Regardless the tension the horse has, he's close towards us.
Klaus Ferdinand Hempfling is a writer, philosopher, artist, life coach, and his words, ideas and philosophy have changed the way people interact with their horses, but also with their families and friends, with their colleagues and business partners. Also the footage from the first encounter with wild Filbert once more shows how physically, energetically, concentrated and obviously connected Klaus is proceeding, and then how quickly proximity and trust is established. Immediately he helps the wild horse to find the perfect balance, basically carried by the hind legs, which are now placed far below the body weight achieved through Klaus's body language on this high level of energy, consciousness and self-control.
If you try to bring a horse forward like this here, the horse would not go, because only if this here is a superior leading being, free of everything, you do have the chance to push the horse with this energy aspect.
The until now untouched and wild horse is immediately submitting and bonding with his man. Also, the first encounter of the horse with so far completely unknown objects is no more and no less than a touching game, celebrating the here and now. Klaus supports again and again the curiosity of this innocent being, leaving the horse in its pristine confidence. Klaus repeatedly emphasizes how important it is that the person towards the horse appears completely transparent, relaxed and reliable. Klaus says, the horse symbolizes the crossroad of people. You can ride a horse by breaking it before mentally or physically, as one can do with nature and all beings. Or you can ride a horse by resigning yourself to its higher order. This path leads to authentic culture. Only this way I'm representing and teaching. One might ask, why does Klaus not simply leave the stallion in the wildness? Well, many of the young stallions are caught to keep the balance of the population, to be given to a corresponding perspective. Being here, I clearly understood that Klaus's philosophy is rooted in ancient wisdom of original sources and traditions. In his eyes, the horse is a means to human initiation, confronting us with challenges, demanding solutions and genuine leadership in order to regain a general holistic harmony. As a boy of 13 years, Klaus left his home and family, and he had to learn to rely on each moment and to focus on what is real in this particular day of existence. I could understand that Klaus obviously had the chance to preserve a lot of this original strength, becoming conscious already throughout his childhood. At this point on my voyage, it becomes more and more clear how Klaus is connecting the energy of the horses with general life aspects. I understood that Klaus is never referring to himself, but always to the transmissions of our forefathers. In all his teaching, Klaus tries to explain that these transmissions, practically from all spots around the world, are in reality talking about the same fundaments of humanity. He is fully agreeing with our forefathers that there are no real barriers existing between humans, cultures, languages and regions. All his teachings are dedicated towards one goal, that each individual person has to find and rely on his inner, genuine dialogue with destiny. Klaus does not want to change the world. It is all about the one single glimpse, maybe in one of us. The combination of all the shown characteristics with the different symbolical and historical aspects of the horse, Klaus is using also in his coaching and teaching regarding personal development and general life issues. With my thanks for your interest, I hope I have been able to bring the world of Klaus Ferdinand Hempfling, with its intention of harmony and peace, some steps closer to you. The horse's land, which has been revealing entirely as the human's land.
So what I've been doing with them now is very important. Very quick, they are learning also to keep distance and reacting on signals as they've been doing now, what you could see here. And already here you can see the tendency, which then later becomes of course more frequent and more solid, to go away and to come back and to keep from, so to speak, the leading stallion, the leading being, to keep a distance of something like 50-60 meters.